Some major Eagles injury news to get to on today's show, with the playoffs coming up around the corner, but 40,000 subs here on Eagles Now also coming up around the corner. About 350 people away from 39,000, so if you're a fan of the Birds and you want coverage every single day, lock us in and subscribe. And with that, let's start talking some Eagles right now. All right, what's up? Welcome in. You're watching Eagles Now by Chat Sports. Chase Senior here with you. Some major Eagles injury news to get to as this team is finally getting healthier and healthier with the playoffs coming up. And this game against the New York Giants is a big one with the magic number remaining at 1. Philadelphia Eagles win at Lincoln Financial Field on Sunday. They win the NFC East. They get the top seed in the NFC, and it looks as though they might have their starting quarterback in this game against the division rival Giants. Nick Sirianni speaking just moments ago and said that Jalen Hurts is set to participate in the Eagles walkthrough on Wednesday at the NovaCare Complex. He did not partake in the team's walkthrough the previous 2 Wednesdays. That's a really important day because that's when Philadelphia really does install the game plan for that upcoming game. He was a limited participant in practice last week, but did not partake in team drills. Kind of just did a couple of things individually through the football, and that was about it for Hurts as he continues to rehabilitate that shoulder injury that he suffered against the Chicago Bears. And Sirianni did say on Monday that Jalen Hurts was close to playing against the New Orleans Saints, but anytime an MVP candidate quarterback is dealing with an injury to his throwing shoulder, you have to err on the side of caution. And if he plays in this game, some interesting things going on. The Eagles are 14.5 point favorites. That tells me that the odds makers think that Hurts is going to play. The Giants might rest their starters, and if that's the case, they get that extra week of rest, getting that number 1 seed and a first-round bye and home field advantage coming through South Philadelphia. So that is the latest on Jalen Hurts. Still plenty of Eagles injury news to get to, and his significance and his involvement in this offense has really been on display when he hasn't played the last 2 weeks. If anything, I've made the argument that his standing as an MVP candidate should actually increase after not playing the last 2 games in losses against the Cowboys and the Saints. And we have some pretty interesting numbers that really indicate and point to the fact that Hurts is one of the best players in the NFL and has added an explosive element to this Eagles offense. The Eagles led the NFL with a success rate of 49.7 with Jalen Hurts, with Gardner Minshew dropped all the way down to 41.6. More numbers. The Eagles were plus 12 in turnover differential. In the games that Jalen Hurts had started, the past 2 games, they are minus 3, and the Eagles went from second in expected points average per play in the first 14 games of the season to 20th the last 2. So a significant drop-off from Hurts to Gardner Minshew. And I'll tell you this, I like Gardner Minshew as a backup quarterback. He is not putting together this sample size over the course of 14 games. Hurts having one of the best single seasons of any quarterback in Eagles franchise history, as evidenced by these numbers here, where his completion percentage the last 3 years has skyrocketed all the way up to 67+%. He has thrown for 22 touchdowns to just 5 interceptions. He has run for 13 touchdowns. He's chucked the rock and slinged it around for nearly 3,500 yards and added 747 rushing yards on top of that. A very dynamic, unique, one-of-one playmaker, and that's why the Eagles have missed him so much. And for everybody out there doubting Jalen Hurts' MVP candidacy, try telling me that he's not worthy of winning MVP after watching this listless offense over the last couple of weeks that's been sloppy, has lacked in explosive plays, that has turned the football over, and has not had a rhythm. This Eagles offensive line also hasn't been good the last 2 weeks, and Jalen Hurts' escapability and the ability to extend plays out of structure and make those improvisational plays downfield has been missed and sorely lacking from this offense as well. Jalen Hurts is a special player. It's crazy to me that a lot of people aren't willing to admit that, and he should be taken even more seriously as an MVP candidate after missing the last 2 weeks, because this Eagles offense has really missed the dynamic elements that he brings to Nick Sirianni and Shane Steichen's scheme. So if you're ready for Hurts to return, I am. I'm done with watching Gardner Minshew for the foreseeable future, especially with the playoffs coming up. Then I want you to hit that thumbs up icon and like the video. To the defensive side of the ball, latest on CJ Gardner-Johnson, CD Deuce. Practice window has been opened. He was doing some putt-putt in the Eagles locker room today. He is going to practice, which is a great sign. Hasn't played since lacerating his kidney against the Green Bay Packers several weeks ago on Monday Night Football. Could play on Sunday. Get the indication he will at least get some snaps. If not, he will be ready for the playoffs, which is a great sign. And the sneaky impact of CJ Gardner-Johnson. He can, of course, play safety, but prior to getting traded to Philadelphia, played more nickel slot cornerback as compared to safety, but that versatility really valuable. Howie Roseman saw it. They had a need at that safety spot, so they bumped him back to the third level of this defense. So he could play there. Or, without Avonte Maddox, you can have CJ Gardner-Johnson occupy slot and nickel cornerback without Avonte Maddox, who is still dealing with that toe injury. And Gardner-Johnson is a really good player. I'd like to see the Eagles re-sign him in free agency because of what he brings culturally to this Eagles locker room, has that swagger, has that confidence, but as a player, he's a really good player. 50 solo tackles this year, 6 interceptions. That led the NFL at the time prior to that kidney injury. 4 tackles for loss and 8 pass breakups. And what's been missed for this Eagles defense, in my opinion, the last 2 weeks, they've gotten home on their pass rush, but in the back end, they haven't been good. They've missed his swagger. They've missed his instincts. They've missed his ball hawking. And come playoff time, a turnover can change the complexion of a game. So with this game coming up on Sunday against the New York Giants, get those predictions in at Lincoln Financial Field. NFL Week 18. Can't believe the regular season is almost in the rear view. NYG for the Giants. PHI for the Philadelphia Eagles. Do want to welcome a brand new sponsor to the docket here at Chat Sports. It is Fume. 10% off their Journey Pack if you head to tryfume.com/chatsports and use the promo code chatsports. Have their products here with me. Today's show sponsored by Fume. Be smart. Don't start. Kick the habit and put it out before it puts you out. All phrases we've heard 100 times, yet we still continue to do bad habits. As we kick off a new year here in 2023, we all know bad habits are hard to stop, and Fume is on a mission to accelerate humanity's breakup from the bad habits that consume far too many of us. Fume is a natural diffusive device that uses plant and behavioral science to help you trade out your negative habit for a positive one. Now, Fume is not a vape. It's a non-electric device designed to transform your negative habits. Instead of pods filled with potentially harmful chemicals like a vape, which I just can't stand, Fume uses cores infused with plants like peppermint and cinnamon for delicious natural flavors. Fume's new version 2 model is snappy and tactile with an adjustable airflow dial and a magnetic end cap. Your fingers will always have something to do. The easiest way to stop a bad habit is to switch to a positive one, and Fume is designed perfectly to do just that. It's Fume's goal to make switching easy and even enjoyable. They have thousands and thousands of 5-star reviews from people just like you who have successfully switched when other solutions just didn't work, trying to get off nicotine and tobacco. So head to tryfume.com/chatsports. Use the code chatsports to save 10% off when you get the Journey Pack today. The Journey Pack comes with 3 unique flavors and the new version 2 Fume to help kickstart your positive habits. That's tryfum.com. Use the code chatsports to save an additional 10% off your order today. So Robert Quinn, more injury news to get to. His practice window, like CJ Gardner-Johnson, also been activated. And I think this is important for a couple of reasons, because after that Josh Sweat injury, update on him coming up, if Josh Sweat can't play in the next couple of weeks, or that injury might be significant, and keep in mind, teams are going to be a little bit more cautious about these injuries following the Damar Hamlin injury and situation the other night on Monday Night Football. At the very least, yes, Robert Quinn has barely done anything for the Eagles following that trade leading up to the NFL trade deadline. But this is an experienced veteran who's coming off an 18.5 sack season from last year, and at the very least provides depth if Josh Sweat cannot go. Speaking of Josh Sweat, this report coming from Jeff McClain, Philadelphia Inquirer, as well as Nick Sirianni. Sirianni said that Josh Sweat was with the team today at the NovaCare complex. He was released from the hospital late on Sunday. He said on Twitter that he's going to return at some point this season, but Nick Sirianni offered no further update on his condition following that neck injury and another scary situation as he had to get carted off in a brace on Sunday after that, or during that loss to the Saints. And The Eagles, the first team since sacks started getting recorded in the early 1980s to have 4 players on the roster with 10 or more sacks. They have set records in terms of franchise and NFL statistics in terms of getting after the quarterback with their sack production. And Josh Sweat has been a part of that. 11 sacks for him this year, and it's really been historic on so many levels and impressive for many reasons. With the Eagles' ability to really get after the quarterback, Hassan Reddick, career year, 16 sacks for him. That's a career high. Hargrave has set a career high. Brandon Graham, a career high at 34 years old, coming off a torn Achilles. Josh Sweat, a career high for him. And Fletcher Cox, opposite of Hargrave, you have 18 combined sacks at those defensive tackle spots. That's really impressive. Now, does Jonathan Gannon need to get the secondary shirt up? Yeah, hopefully CJ Gardner-Johnson can do that, and hopefully Robert Quinn can come through with a big play at some point in this game against the Giants or the playoff run to make that trade worth it. You send out a 4th-round pick, you get a game-altering play from Robert Quinn, it's all worth it at the end of the day. Let's round out with this because kickers and punters are people too. Aaron Siposs still wearing a walking boot on his injured left leg after getting injured against the Giants in the Meadowlands a couple of weeks ago. Brett Kern, meanwhile, has run out of practice squad promotions and will have to be signed to the 53-man roster if he is to play on Sunday. So a potential roster move to keep an eye out for Philadelphia. If you want to keep an eye out for me on social media, my Twitter's been popping off. I don't know. I entered some NFL jet stream. It's been crazy. Called out Skip Bayless for being a fraud. Hit me up on Twitter and Instagram at Chase_Senior. It's the same handle on both social media platforms. And most importantly, if you're still rocking with us, still watching right now, and you made it all the way till the end, you know what that means? If you're subscribed, that means that you are a Philadelphia Eagles Now real one. So show us you're a real one by typing real one in the chat. Appreciate y'all. Don't forget to subscribe. We're on the road to 40,000 subs. Hopefully we're only getting started with this playoff run for Philadelphia. Gonna be epic.